Welcome to AIM Products for Nutrition That Works with AIM Biologist and Quality Assurance Manager, Philip German.
Welcome to today's broadcast. This is another special broadcast where we're actually in a barley field right now. I'm standing in barley, on top of barley, in this beautiful young grass. And today we're going to talk about some of the field management that occurs and some of the quality steps that go into ensuring this grass makes it into a juice and into a powder, and we're getting the most out of each blade of grass that we can. Now, right now I'm looking over across this field. This is approximately 40 to 60 acres in this field specifically. And the first thing we notice when we look at these fields is you can kind of see little changes in the color across the field, and you can see these really dark areas of grass, and then there's some of these areas that are slightly lighter. Now, this dark and lightness actually translate to the chlorophyll in the finished product, if you can believe it. So as you're looking into a stand of barley grass, you can, and over time, it becomes almost a science of looking at a grass and knowing the amount of chlorophyll that will come out into the finished product based on how the field looks before harvest. So what we have is we have a collection of individuals, and these individuals actually go to the fields on a daily basis during harvesting season. And it's important for them to record the quality of the field itself before we even come in and actually start harvesting. So on a daily basis, they will come into a field with a plot, and this plot will be approximately 1 meter squared. And inside this plot, they are looking for, well, first thing is they're going to look at the height of the grass, right? Because we want grass that is young. We want grass that has a lot of biomass, has a lot of leaves, and we want to ensure that it's not too tall, right? So we want the perfect harvest in a perfect scenario. Another thing that we want to look for is we want to look for any type of foreign plant material. Okay, so weeds, in a word. We want to make sure that this field is weed free as much as possible. So we want to eliminate any kind of foreign species within these stands. Now, believe it or not, in some of these large fields, we will actually employ individuals to come out and remove some of these foreign species that may be in the field. And this is in a case where there's not very many. You know, there's a handful in a large field. Now, if we find that there is an area in a field that is taken over with a foreign species, we will actually not harvest the field for the production of AIM. It will not be. It'll actually be used for animal feed. And sometimes we can actually cordon off a portion of the field that will go into production, and the other part of the field will actually be disposed of through other means. So it's important that these individuals are out here on a daily basis examining how the field is growing, what's going on in the field. You know, another big part of this is the soil itself. In this field that I'm walking in right now, we're actually going to be harvesting this field in approximately 2 to 3 days, and it's going to be in the evening or at night. And so this field here, the water has been cut off from this because we don't want a field to be too moist. If the soil in this field is too wet, the harvesting equipment will essentially sink, if you can believe it or not. And so we want the field to be somewhat dry so that when this harvesting equipment comes in, it can actually harvest the material efficiently and effectively and exit the field with doing as little damage as possible. So that's another thing they're looking at when they're examining these leaves and plants. The cleanliness, believe it or not, I mean, we're looking at the cleanliness of the leaves. I'll look down here. I'm looking at a few of the leaves. These leaves in these fields, there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, I'm looking at these blades. There's not a spot of yellow or brown. It's just this beautiful dark green leaf. And this is exactly what they're looking for. And that's why this field is on schedule to be harvested in the next few days, is because of the quality of the grass in this field. So, you know, I'm looking at the tips of these leaves, and sometimes what you'll see is the tips of the leaves will become yellowed. It's really common that can occur, and it really degrades the amount of chlorophyll that you can get out of each plant. And with these leaves, they just have nothing. It's just perfectly dark green. Yeah, I mean, you can almost see the juice on the edges of the leaves as you break them. And that's, it really goes to the quality of the grass in this field. It's exciting to look at. I really enjoy it. So once these individuals have gone through and they've determined the field is ready to harvest, harvesting equipment will actually come in into the evening. So just as the sun is setting, and this is an important step because we actually want to be harvesting this grass when the temperature is cool outside. This is important because as these plants are growing, they're maturing, when the evening comes, it starts to cool down significantly this time of year. And what the plant will do is almost as a protection against the elements. It will actually push a lot of different nutrients into the leaves and natural sugars and antioxidants to protect itself. Almost like you can think of it as like a plant antifreeze, but it's really like good antifreeze. It's really good for the human nutrition. So it's really good juices are pushed into the leaves to protect them. And that's right where we roll these harvesters into the fields and we start harvesting this grass while it's really cold. And not only do we get the most nutrient grass out of these fields, but because it's so cool outside when we're harvesting, as we transport that material to our processing facility, which I can actually see it in the background from here, it's not that far. I'm looking right now, maybe 200 to 300 yards from the processing facility now. So as that's being transported there, it's cool out, we're protecting the product. So the enzymatic breakdown, the degradation of that grass has been almost eliminated because the temperature is so low. As soon as it arrives at the facility, we are starting to offload into the juicer and actually start pressing that juice immediately. It does us really no good to sit and harvest and back up trucks to the facility for processing because that grass you've started a ticking time clock. Okay, when you harvest a piece of grass, I want you to try this at home. Okay, so I want you to go out into your yard and I want you to pick some of this Kentucky bluegrass that you have in your yard or fescue, and I want you to break a few blades off. You've started a ticking time clock. That grass is starting to degrade immediately as soon as you've cut it, okay? And you can see this in your lawnmower, and you'll see that once it sits for a little bit, it starts to smell. You start getting the smell. You start to see that all this moisture, this condensation that starts to occur. You've got bacterial colonies that are starting to they love this. This is great. Let's go crazy with this because it's all good food. So the bacteria is just exploding and multiplying as fast as it can because it's just, let's go crazy. We don't want that clock to start. So by harvesting at night when it's cold, processing very close to the facility as possible, and immediately going into the juicing process where we're dropping that temperature to just above freezing. And that liquid is just you could almost like a slushy, just almost icy. It's so cold. And that's preserving all those nutrients. It's preventing the bacterial growth that can occur. It's preventing these vitamins from degrading, the enzymes from degrading. It's a process that has worked again and again and again for AIM and really creating one of the most unique but advanced products out there on the marketplace right now. And it's exciting to talk about, and it's really amazing to watch. And I wish more people had an understanding of all the work and effort that goes into making sure that these fields are just as pristine and perfect as possible before they go into that juicer and that juice is created. It's an amazing combination that occurs. Well, I'm going to sign off from today's broadcast. And again, it's a gorgeous day out here. A few clouds in the sky, standing in the middle of a barley field. It just doesn't get any better than this. And this is really where BarleyLife starts from, right here from the ground up. So I hope to see you on another broadcast. Thank you.
The statements made herein have not been evaluated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration or other regulatory agencies. AIM products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Any testimonials should not be construed as representing results everyone can achieve. You've been listening to AIM Products for Nutrition That Works. Please join us again.